Today is July 27th, 2022. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, as you can tell, I am not on the camera screen, but a friend of mine, a new friend of mine, is going to be talking with me today. Her name is Keara Hilton from Middleville, Michigan,
Yes.
up near Hastings, Grand Rapids way. And I found out about her testimony just recently, so I thought I should talk to her about her experiences with abortion and her experience recently with a birthday party. So welcome, Keara, to Pro-Life Week. So tell me briefly about your past.
So I grew up in Chicago on the south suburbs, and Catholic family, very strict rules as far as having sex and interactions, and I ended up getting pregnant unexpectedly at 18 years old with the guy that I'd been with for a couple years. Thought he was like my absolute everything. We were going to get married, couldn't picture life without him. Every, teenage thought. And I got pregnant, and he was not supportive. And I was terrified because I knew my family had already made it really clear growing up that that was not allowed. That was not acceptable.
So he recommended abortion?
So he recommended abortion.
Okay.
Yep. And I just didn't want to lose him, and I didn't want to be alone because I had, without him and without my family, there was nothing. So I agreed to get that abortion.
So did the abortion clinic personnel give you information? Did they give you the all the ins and outs?
No, they didn't. They gave me all of the worst case scenarios, which is like the worst thing you could possibly tell to a teenager in the most vulnerable time in her life, is that they were my only hope, pretty much. If I didn't get an abortion, how would I raise my child? And what if he left me? And who would want to marry? It would be hard to find another partner if you're trying to work all the time and raise a child. Like all of these horrible.
So they took all the bad scenarios to steer you in the direction they wanted you to go, which was abortion.
Yep.
Okay.
Money. Yeah.
Okay. So you had the abortion.
I did. And unfortunately, when they took the ultrasound, I was already past the first trimester. So it was 13 weeks, which I wanted to stop at that point, but they never let me see the ultrasound. So they just, again, assured me, oh no, you're fine, and they don't feel anything at this point. It's just a clump of cells. And I know better now, but I remember at that age, 18, and not having the information we have now, believing them. They're doctors. You're taught to believe and trust doctors.
So after the abortion, you went on with your life, rosy clean, happy?
No, absolute opposite. So after the abortion, they promised me everything was going to be so much easier. You just get on with your life. And for a while I did, you go out to eat, and you go out with your friends, and you try to numb everything away, but the pain I had to numb more and more, and eventually I was just consumed in alcohol and dabbling in drugs, and I just didn't want to think about what I'd done. And unfortunately, because of those choices and making more bad choices, I became pregnant again. And this time I was 20, and I was so angry. And I just remember I asked, this time I didn't want to go through the abortion again. I didn't want to deal with that, and it wasn't a boyfriend this time, and it wasn't a good circumstance. So I told my sister, which was a risk, and thankfully it was a good risk, because she just hugged me and told me it's gonna be okay, it's not the end of the world, it's gonna be hard, but I'm gonna be with you and I'm gonna help you. And I just remember the difference between being spoken to of hopelessness and spoken to of hope.
Okay.
And so I chose to have that baby, and I'm glad I did. but it was also like eye-opening having her.
Well, it's good that your sister was there to give you words of wisdom and words of hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That Planned Parenthood or the other people gave you nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
And I was still young. I was still, not in a good financial situation. But this time I had someone saying, you can do it. That was the difference.
Right. That's good.
And so I did have a pregnant. I had a beautiful, beautiful baby girl. And but through that pregnancy is when I realized how duped I had been.
You've been lied to.
I've been lied to.
When you saw the ultrasound for your second baby?
Yeah.
Your pregnancy?
I was around, so when I saw the ultrasound for my second baby, it was right around the same time that I had an ultrasound done with the first, but they wouldn't let me see it. And then I see this ultrasound with my second, and I'm thinking, wait a second, like I see limbs, I see a body, and I see a heartbeat. They didn't let me listen to the heartbeat.
The other side, they choose to keep Americans completely in the dark and ignorant about the basic reality of an ultrasound.
Yeah.
I mean, the baby's there.
It's there.
And they choose to ignore it.
No, blob of cells.
Yeah.
Like who doesn't want to hear that when they're in a desperate situation? No one wants to feel like they're a murderer,
right.
So that's how you make someone feel good and feel better about justifying their decision.
Yeah.
But when I saw that, I was red, like I was so angry, and I cried like throughout that whole pregnancy. Like people are supposed to be pregnant and be happy. I was like crying all the time. Every time I had to get an exam done, an ultrasound done,
because of the
first abortion, because it was a constant reminder of this is what your baby would have turned into. This is what you took away.
Right.
So it ruined my ability to have happy pregnancies, to be honest. I now have 5 daughters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, lots. And that means 5 pregnancies that followed. And each time, of course I'm happy, but every single time I'm haunted by what I did.
The first one.
It's a constant reminder.
So let's fast forward 20 years or whatever.
Yeah.
How many
27.
years? 27 years.
Yeah.
And you decided to have some kind of a party.
Yeah. So this has been a secret that I feel I've kept. I mean, my husband knows. I've actually even shared with my kids about my abortion, and my very closest friends. But other than that, like, never talked about it. Like, even when I'm debating abortion, I never brought it up because it's so shameful, and I feel like women who've had an abortion are just shamed.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're quiet. But for some reason, like with this Roe being overturned and seeing all these people celebrating death and just being livid and angry because they can't kill a baby, it just stirred something up in me. And I was praying to God, and someone local was doing a rally to celebrate death and women's right to kill, and I just lost it, and I felt God telling me very strongly, like it was no doubt, it was not my thought at all, it was a God-driven thought of, it's time, and you're gonna have a birthday party, and we're gonna celebrate life, we're gonna celebrate the unborn. And I was like, I have no idea what that's gonna look like, and it's like 3 days away.
So I understand, because we talked before a little bit,
Yes,
that through a series of circumstances you were able to rent a pavilion in town in
the same space that the rally was supposed to be near. So I figured.
Oh, I mean the pro-choice, the pro-abortion rally.
Pro-abortion rally.
Okay.
So I rented the pavilion and said, no, we're going to turn this into a happy.
And how many people? How many people came out to support you?
I didn't count, but we only had 2 days to kind of spread the word and invite people to the birthday party. But there was maybe 70, if not more, people there.
And not all these people were.
I didn't even know a lot of them. Wow. Yeah, it was amazing. God just put it together, and it was the most joyous.
So this was a
Party.
birthday party, not necessarily for the baby you lost,
It was.
but it was also
So
for unborn babies in general who will never be able to
Yeah.
have a birthday party
Yeah.
when they're 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 or 15.
Never got a birthday because we made choices to end their ability to have a birthday.
Okay.
Yep. And in reality, it's a birthday party for that, to honor those babies who never got to have a birthday party and celebrate, but also to honor the women and encourage them to come forward and speak their truth and free them and heal them, so that the more of us that can speak truth about abortion and what it actually is, the more people will stop believing the lies of what others tell them it is. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes perfect sense. I mean, abortion is a mass deception.
Yeah.
They, we talked before, I think, about this whole issue of they cloud the word abortion and they mask it. It's if the American public really could see what an abortion really is. I mean, it's your arms and legs and body parts are shredded and they're removed, and then the doctors sometimes have to kind of put the parts together to make sure he gets everything. The American public somehow seems to think that abortion is a sanitized death. That this little clump of cells feels nothing, knows nothing. It's vacuumed out. But the reality is that baby is brutally tortured.
Yes.
And dismembered in a horrible way.
Yeah, they get more upset about animal cruelty than they do about what happens to these babies. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think too, part of the problem is these people don't seem to value life.
No.
So talking to them about that isn't working. We have to start sharing how abortion is a lifelong sentence. It is a lifelong sentence.
Every day, you go through that.
Yeah, my
loss.
oldest is 25 right now, and I still, every time one of my kids has a birthday, I have the math in my head where I'm going, 5 years older, 2 years older than that one. It's constant of wonder what he or she would be right now. I wonder whether they'd be a doctor. Would they go to? It's constant, and that's the lie. That's the lie that people think, oh, I'll have an abortion and we'll be done. It is Satan's perfect life sentence of I gotcha, and I gotcha for the rest of your life. But the great thing is I did find Christ, and Christ redeemed me and forgave me, but it was a hard, we're talking a long, hard journey.
A long road.
Yeah. And it affects how my marriage was. It affected my marriage. It affected because when I'm pregnant, how, the expectations, and it affected how I raised my kids.
Yeah.
So,
Keara, we're going to stop here because we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
I really want to appreciate you sharing your life story for our small audience.
Thank you.
With that, I will let you go, and I will talk to my listeners at our next meeting. So
Thank you for having me.
thank you, Keara. Goodbye.